It goes on all through a child growing up in school and getting ready for college or the workforce. You know, people think about college counseling as, well, do you like snow or do you like sunny beaches and so on. But with a person with learning disabilities, can you function in a large environment, or must it be a small one? What quality of service do they have that can help you, whether it's daily meeting or whether it's tutoring once a week or whether it's a little bit of advisement? There are all sorts of questions that have to be taken into account in terms of, has this student ever lived away from home, been out and about? Is this somebody with good social relations, or have the learning disabilities touch the social relationships too? And so there's an enormous amount in planning and matching the student to the college. It's like matching the student in kindergarten and first grade to the reading methods we're going to use. You need to know a whole host of methods, and then you've got to look at this child's profile and find out which ones you think will work best. And then you try them out. And the same thing with the college. So it takes more. I think in relation to these students in general, we have to do more. We have to offer more options. We have to know our topics even better, because so much of success really lies in putting students with learning disabilities and big attention deficit hyperactivity problems, getting them started in the right college where they have a chance to succeed. What we live in fear of is they're dropping out right away because we haven't met their needs. And there's a lot that's different. You go to college, you don't have a daily schedule with hourly classes like in high school. Maybe you have classes 3 times a week. Maybe you just have morning classes and possibly one afternoon class. Can you handle time? What can you do? And so all of these things become considerations. There are accommodations that we have to make for students going on to college or into the workforce. For example, you want to reduce load in college. You want to make sure that they can take tests with extended time and be in a quiet room somewhere. You want to make sure that they can tape record some classes, or that they can have a note taker, or access to talking books, or proofreader for term papers, and that foreign language requirements can be waived, or they can use a calculator for math. They can have access to computers. Those are accommodations. Strategies are much more internal. And really, it's the student and the teacher or the tutor that come up with strategies that work. This works for me. It may not work for you. But ways to remember things, ways to organize time, ways to organize space. And so when you've got strategies and accommodations, then you've got good fuel for self-advocacy. Now with careers, it's the same thing. We really need to match students' interests and talents with what's out there. If somebody's really good with his hands and not very verbal, we're not going to put him in a managerial position where he has to use verbal instructions all the time. Or we're not going to put the person who's very verbal and really bad with the hands, with what we call eye-hand coordination skills. We're not going to put that person in a situation where she has to move objects around and use her hands to take care of framing or setting up displays and so on. This is a game to sharpen students' thinking about careers. What do I do well? What do I have trouble with? What methods work best with me? What methods don't? And this is by way of thinking of possible careers. So there are pictures of different careers, and then there are profiles. And you read your profile, one profile we'll start with, and you explain why some of these careers might work and some might not work.
Says very good math skills, great verbal skills, poor listening skills, poor writing skills, enthusiastic and motivated. So I was looking on the board to see who would have really good math skills. I think a weatherman might have really good math skills, and an architect would have really good math skills, and you'd need good verbal skills to be able to do both of those jobs. I think you probably wouldn't need to do as much writing in with a weatherman, but you would with an architect, so that might be difficult. Obviously, if you have, these kind of skills don't relate as well to being a chef or a surgical nurse.
Okay, that's it.
Well, one of them I have says great listening, clumsy, motivated, great public speaker, poor writing skills, poor at following directions. So, a telephonist, a receptionist, I guess. I don't know about it would minimize the great public speaker part, but the rest might be all right. The other one says clever, poor verbal skills, prompt, impulsive, not open to the opinion of others, and artistic. Well, architect was the only thing I could think of for that, but
You better be open to the opinion of others. You're going to design a house for them.
yeah, artist, I guess, is the best.
You?
Well, one of them I have says impulsive, poor writing skills, but great listening skills and a good team player. Kind of clumsy and has weak visual spatial thinking. I thought something like a telephone operator would be good because there would be somebody who would listen well. I'm not going to say too much about their verbal, expressive verbal skills, but maybe they'd be okay, and they certainly have to be a team player. I think anything that would involve, dealing with other people might be okay, like a receptionist, or, if they're, being part of a team, they probably do well with that.
Artistic, high frustration tolerance, excellent thinking skills, poor musical ability, poor verbal skills, competitive. Possibly a cameraman. An artist, obviously, except an artist is a musician. And what else? Possibly, an art teacher, in the school. The poor verbal skills is the tough one with that.
Mine says excellent at working with hands, poor social skills, poor writing skills, enthusiastic, poor sense of timing, artistic. Well, I would think working well with hands would be a sculptor, someone working with carpenters, where he's not required to work with other people and he can work alone, and has poor sense of timing. A sculpture does not have to keep a timetable, so that would be perfect for him.
Excellent math skills, poor time management, poor direction, excellent debater, motivated to learn, and clumsy. I thought a lawyer, clumsy wouldn't matter. Debating, obviously they might be very good at that and be able to use that. Motivated to learn about new materials or new cases. And my other one talks about a musician with great abstract thinking and poor social skills. Perhaps a musician who created songs and had someone else write them, but then go around and sing as a way to make a living and have someone else sort of write the songs for them, and it would help with the social skills.
So what did you have to do to get to that conclusion?
Think of to task analyze their abilities, what they have and what they don't have, what component skills are involved in writing a song and singing a song, what parts he could do for writing a song, couldn't do for writing a song, to be able to think of the component skills to get to that upper level, which is the actual job.
So the task analysis was key.
Right.
And what do you feel about it?
Task analysis, I think, is very critical. For me, it's probably the best thing I've ever learned in studying special education, because when I approach a child now, I think about what skills are involved in the task that I'm trying to do. For instance, if I want them to write a story, they have to be able to write with their pencil, they have to know the letters to form them, they have to know how to spell the words to write them, they have to remember the whole story in their head, they have to do all of these things at once to do the task we simply call write a story. And so if you can't think of all the component skills that build up to the one task called writing a story, then you're not going to know what's causing the child's breakdown when they go to sit down and write a story. You have to really get down to what level it is that's causing the problem and build back up after you approach that one problem.
Those of us who work with children who have learning disabilities, attention deficit disorders, speech-language disorders, must become adept at problem solving. Our students need to be put in situations where they have to think their way out. We must beware of giving them too many answers, because the best preparation for them to go forward into their futures lies in learning to problem solve well.